So let's go ahead and kick things off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the American Family Insurance Dream Bank, where we believe in the transformative power of dreams. My name is Andy Frisky, and on behalf of the entire Dream Bank team, we are so stoked to have you with us here today. As we get started, we always like to learn where our community of dreamers is joining us from and encourage you to do so in the chat section if you are comfortable. I know a handful of you have done that already. I'm located in Madison, Wisconsin. For those of you who have attended our virtual or in-person events in the past, welcome back. And for anyone that is joining us for the first time, I'd love to take a few moments and introduce you to DreamBank. So here at American Family Insurance, life is better when you're under our roof because when you feel totally supported and protected, any dream is possible. And that's why we created DreamBank. It's an inspirational community destination and virtual experience that is designed to help people pursue, achieve, and protect their dreams. And at DreamBank, there's something for every dreamer. From our weekly events to immersive signature programs, special events, and on-demand content, our free programming and resources are designed to bring you inspiration, motivation, and support no matter your interest. So you can go ahead and check out our upcoming virtual and in-person events at amfam.com/dreambank and reserve your spot today. Would love to welcome and introduce our featured speaker today, though. Elzie Flenard III is the founder of Journey to Mastery, a platform that helps entrepreneurs and leaders develop clarity, focus, and momentum by mastering their mind, mission, message, and method. As host of the Journey to Mastery podcast and creator of the Journey Crew mentorship community, Elzie equips purpose-driven professionals with the tools and systems to grow personally and professionally. He's also the founder of EF3 Studios, a creative media company that produces podcasts, workshops, and live experiences designed to educate and inspire. So through his book, Flame Starter, The Art of Self-Mastery, and his engaging talks, Elzie empowers audiences to master themselves, lead with intention, and turn vision into action. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Elzie. Elzie, the stage is yours. Take it away.
Well, just wanted to make sure, can you hear me okay?
Yep, everything's coming through good. Yep.
Perfect, perfect. I was sharing with Andy before we hopped on. I've been doing this for a really, really long time. And usually the only thing that I'm nervous about is the tech. Like, are they going to be able to hear me? Are they going to be able to see me? Are all the things that are supposed to work going to work when it's time to hit go? So thankfully, we hopped on, we did a tech check. Andy was amazing, helped me out, showed me some things, and made sure that that everything is working as it should. So super excited to be here. Thank you to MFAM and DreamBank for having me. As Andy said before, my name is Elzie. I am a podcaster, entrepreneur. I've been doing creative entrepreneurship for the better part of 20 plus years now. And I want to start off by sharing a little bit about myself. I am from a small town. Now, when I say small town, I mean small. I mean no stoplights, one gas station, one grocery store. Everybody knows everybody. You see the same people multiple times throughout the day and speak to said people multiple times throughout the day. Forest County in the state of Illinois. And but I didn't know any different. It was home. I had family. My mom with three of my brothers and sisters did a phenomenal job raising us, making sure we had everything we needed. And so played basketball in high school. And fast forward to about my junior year, a weird, funny thing started to happen. My classmates started to get accepted into colleges and make their plans for the future. And I had no clue what I wanted to do. And so I had decided that I was going to go into the military because I had two older sisters. That's the path that they took. They both went to the military. So I said, okay, I'll do the same thing. I'll follow in their footsteps. So I was working with a recruiter, and I'm sitting in a study hall because I was a decent enough student where I had enough credits to graduate, and I was babysitting other younger students, and for whatever reason they were behaving that day, so I didn't have much to do. And so I was sitting there, and I glance over, and in the corner there's this bookshelf. Now, some of you will be old enough to understand this reference, some of you won't. Okay, there was a bookshelf full of encyclopedias. Those are like Google and ChatGPT, but inside books. And I picked up the letter E and I started to just thumb through it. And I got to the electronics portion. And by the end of that study hall, decided that that's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to study. Now, all this time happening alongside this, I had been working with the Army recruiter because I thought that's what I wanted to do. So one day, my sister comes back from leave, and she would do this often. She would come home and she would say things like, "Elzie, you're really smart," or "Elzie, you can do anything you want to do," things like that. And a funny thing happened one day. She came home, I believe it was for Thanksgiving, and she said, "You know, Elzie, I think that if you were to decide to go to college, that you could definitely do it, and I'll help you." So I said, "Huh, I think I'll go that route." So I set up a meeting with my Army recruiter, and it was face-to-face meeting, and I'll never forget it because we were about the same height at that time. And I told him about my new plan. I had decided to not go into the Army, but to go to college instead. And he looked at me right in the eye, kind of like I'm looking at you right now, and he said to me, "You'll never do it. Can't afford it. It'll never happen." That was the moment that I became the master of my destiny. I not only was going to go to college, but I was going to go to the college of my choice and I was going to crush it. And so I tell that story because as an entrepreneur, there's always these watershed moments that define the trajectory of our lives. At some point, you had to decide that this is what you were going to do. And for me, that was that moment. So I'll get into the rest of my journey a little bit later. But what I want to know today is how can I serve you? I know this is all about entrepreneurial storytelling and effective communication, which is a very, very loaded topic. I'm not going to lie. But what I want to do right now is give you guys some time to let me know, what do you want to get from our time together? There's a lot that I have prepared, and there's a lot of different directions we can go. But if you don't mind, put it in the chat. What do you want to cover? What topics, areas, or subject matters do you want me to cover? And while you're doing that, you're putting that in the chat. I'm gonna to lean on Andy to call some of those things out. And then I'll share a little bit more about my journey from that moment staring in the eyes of my high school Army recruiter to today and how we got here. So I'm going to tell a little bit more about my background and how we got here. And then you guys put in the chat, what do you want to get from our time together? Okay, so picking up from the story, so I decided that I was going to go to college for electronics and ended up going to the Institute of Electronics Technology. I was over in Paducah, Kentucky. So there I was, 18 years old, in this rigorous private school, and I loved it. I learned so much about, how things work, how not to let the smoke out of things. It was an amazing experience. I had gotten married at this time because as a teenager, I knew two things. I knew I wanted a family, and I knew I wanted to be a business owner. Now, my plan in my 13, 14-year-old mind was I was going to go to college, get a decent job so that I could get married, have some children, work long enough so that I could then quit the job and do my own thing. So that was the plan. And I am happy to report that as of 10/22/2025, the plan actually worked. Now, it took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but ultimately the plan worked. And here I am, married, my beautiful wife, Victoria, two children. My daughter is a freshman at Indiana University, and my son, Elzie, is smart as a whip and going to be able to do whatever he wants to do. And so, from there, I, got into content production and creation for businesses and entrepreneurs, and more recently, doing some coaching and mentorship with entrepreneurs, and have hosted a podcast since 2016. So that is my story and how we got here. Now let me see, Andy, how do we do this? Do I look at the chat and
Yeah, there's
see?
some, you wanted me to share some of the what folks are looking to take away?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so it looks like some folks are looking at advice that you give to someone who's just starting out, um, uh, effective communication in everyday life. Let's see what else we got here. Thought about podcasting, but not sure how to start.
Okay.
Covers storytelling tips and tricks for personal brand, key steps and stages for effective storytelling.
Okay. That's the stage.
So
Just
yeah, there's
got it.
some good stuff here.
Okay, cool. I think we are on the same page, which is always good. Sometimes when I do these, people put things in the chat and I'm like, yeah, I need to reevaluate my plan because I don't think, but I think we're definitely going to cover that. Just starting out everyday life communication. Yeah, I think we'll cover a good bit of that. So cool. Cool to see that we're in alignment. So here's my promise to you from our time together. I want to make sure that you can clarify your message. I want you to own your story. I almost put your as capital letters, bold, red, and underlined, because authenticity, when you think about communication and effective communication, authenticity is paramount. And then lastly, to build real connections. So clarifying your message, owning your story, and building real connections, right? And I want you to walk away with a simple framework that will allow you to speak confidently and connect authentically. All right. Let me move myself out of my way here. Uh, okay, so the real reason, and what's funny is we live in a society and in a world where, on one hand, it is absolutely amazing what AI is doing and what AI is capable of, but on the other hand, it is causing this dissonance between making genuine human connection and just simply putting content out there and communicating a message that doesn't connect, right? Connection is it's more of an art than it is a science. There's the reason why some artists are very popular and some artists aren't. They call it in the industry the it factor, right? There's certain speakers, certain entrepreneurs that just have this thing about them that connects them with people. I believe that is not because that you lack talent or that they lack talent. There's just not clear on their message and who they really are. So the connective tissue in connection and making authentic real connection is clarity around who you really are, which is something that people struggle with, right? And people struggle with that because of fear. They don't want to be rejected. But I have news for you. You will fail. Not everybody's going to like you. In fact, 30% of the people that you meet will love you no matter what you do. 30% will hate you no matter what you do. 30% just don't care. And 10% they could go either way. So avoiding those facts is just actually not even worth your time. Be who you are. The other thing I find that affects people's ability to connect is they try to be perfect. I practiced this talk before today. I went over all the things that I wanted to talk about. I practiced with the slides, with my clicker. I practiced with the technology. I did all the stuff, and I can guarantee you it's not going to be perfect. I have to be okay with that. I'm not perfect. No matter how many times I run through the deck, no matter how many times I practice, I'm not going to be perfect. In fact, in this AI world, people don't want perfection. People want realness. People want you to show up as yourself. Okay. And lastly, connection and communication. People want to know that you can serve them in a way that is genuine and in a way that gets them what they want. So ultimately, we're all great people, but ultimately, people want to know what's in it for them. What value are you going to provide me? You didn't show up to this talk today because I'm an amazing person. You showed up today because you want to get something from this talk, and that's okay. My job is to make sure that when you leave here that you have something that will move you in the direction of that you want to grow to. So, what you say, your actual words that you speak are important, but what is more important than your words is what you don't say sometimes. It's your body language. It's I don't know if you can tell right now, I'm smiling. You can hear that, you can feel that. It is your vibe, and we're going to do a vibe check a little bit later. It's your perspective, it's your perception, it's all the things that make you who you are, the emotional response that you trigger in people that comprise of your message. So I could say to you, I am excited to be here. That's going to make you feel very different than if I say, hey, Andy, I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I can't wait to dig into the content. That are two different things. I said the same thing, but one thing when you think about effective communication is you have to understand what message you're putting out, but you also have to understand how people are receiving your message. So if I say to you, I would love for you to put in the chat where you're from, and I will send you $1,000. Now, two things are happening with that statement. Number one, do I actually mean that? Am I joking? And number two, do you believe me that if you were to do that, that will be the result? So a lot of communication and messaging is not only what you say, but the trust that you've built over the course of that relationship, and that will allow people to either receive what you're saying and believe what you're saying, and be able to transmit that message back to you. So the other thing is that you have to um, you have to get good at getting feedback from people to make sure that the message that you intended to send was the message that they received. Because I'm not going to go into detail with this because I don't want to get into trouble. But sometimes when I talk with my wife, even though I say something, she receives it completely different than I intended it. And so I've learned over the years to get feedback from her and say, hey, what did you hear? What did you hear me say? And how did you interpret what the words that came out of my mouth? Because sometimes it's not the same. And then we triangulate and say, oh, okay, cool. I didn't understand. I didn't realize that you perceived it that way. Here's what I intended. And so a lot of communication is not only what you say, but how what you said is received, perceived, and regurgitated back to you. Okay, so it's two ways. Even though you can tell a person a thing, they can perceive it completely different, and it will determine the effectiveness of that communication. Okay, so how do you get clear on what you're communicating? So your core message is, what do you help people with? Or situationally, what is the value or the message, the core of that message that you want to send? Then credibility. Why should they listen to you? Do you have a relationship? And if so, how good is that relationship? Is it a bad relationship? Because that would dictate how you present the message. Some people I know well, I can say things to them in a way that I would never say to somebody that I just met. And so you have to understand what credibility or rapport you have with the person that you're communicating to. And then lastly, what's in it for them? We talked about earlier, most people, they want to know that they're going to get something out of it. And so whatever your message is, you have to have clarity around what the message is and what result you want to get. You have to have credibility or rapport, and you have to have an idea or a sense of what's in it for them. All right, so I have a little exercise for you guys. In one sentence, and this is really, really hard. What is your story? So I'm going to put myself on the spot and try to give you my story in one sentence. Now it's going to be a compound, complex run-on sentence, but one sentence. So my story in one sentence is my name is Elzie Flenard. I grew up in a small town, a small poor town in the southern Illinois. I grew up in the world of electronics and project management and organization. And I ended up going into podcasting as a career. And now I serve entrepreneurs, helping them grow their business. And so again, that's a long run-on sentence, but one sentence on what my story is that tells you where I came from, background on maybe how I think, maybe how I perceive the world, what my goals, aspirations are, and what I do to help people. So your homework is to come up with your story in one sentence. All right, so I was trying to find a really good video of a story, and I ran across this one. It's about 4 minutes long, and I want to play it because it is a fantastic example of when you talk about connection, when you talk about authenticity. You'll see in the video when you think about being true to who you are, how the message is going to help people, and adding in the flavor of personality as well. So I'm going to play this and then put in the chat what things you glean from this video.
Have you ever wondered how much ice cream you can get for $1? Or what's the cheapest thing in an airport? Or if it's faster to go inside or a drive-through? Probably not. But somehow answering these weird questions and sharing those experiences have become my life's work. Now, even though I only have 5 minutes to share my viral storytelling framework, great stories should be told in less than 60 seconds. And it's not just about becoming a viral social media star. It's about making your conversations better, whether you're with friends, family, or trying to convince your boss for a raise. So here's how to make every second count. Many great stories start with a question because it'll make people stick until the end to find out the answer. And remember, you want to get your audience's attention immediately, so you want to start by asking something shocking. And one of the things I've always wondered was if fast food was really as fast as they say. So I answered just this in a video and got over 45 million views. Let's check out how I hooked my viewers. Burger? Yeah, can you put cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes? It's not hot enough. That thing really wasn't hot enough. But as you can see, I took this question very seriously. And after you've hooked your audience, you want to take them on a journey building up to your answer where you want there to feel constant progression. So we're moving closer and closer to our answer. So we feel like we can't stop listening. And in my case, I did just this by saying that I'll be adding tomatoes, lettuce, and cheese to the burger. So now we know how close I am to finishing the competition, thus the video. But if everything is smooth sailing, then nobody cares, which is why we need to add conflict before getting to our answer. So here's how I did that. Yes, please. And cheese.
There's smoke in here.
Wait, this thing is still raw. Good thing there's a line. Oh my goodness, what's happening?
What are you doing back there? You're gonna burn that car.
Okay, I'm gonna cut the tomatoes while this cooks.
I hope I don't have to eat that.
Oh no, that tomato looks weird. Tell him to slow down.
You do all this for one subscriber? You're gonna make a mess in the car.
I'm gonna put the ketchup on the buns. As you saw, without conflict, the audience just isn't as invested. Which is why I used my mom as the B plot. So you're now not only invested in the competition, but also curious to see what's gonna happen between my mom and I. And after enough buildup, we finally need our answers. Will I cook the burger faster? Will I accidentally set my mom's car on fire? The key here is to build tension by making the answer feel uncertain to make a satisfying ending. Here's how I did just that. We're one person away. We just need the burger to cook. Faster, faster.
We're moving, we're moving.
No, my burger is not done yet. Oh, you're driving too crazy. It needs to cook faster. we're pulling up to the window. And, oh my goodness. We cooked faster and better. And that's it. We cooked faster than the drive-thru. Does it matter that my burger was basically raw? Absolutely not. Because the viewers wanted an answer, so I gave it to them quickly and concisely in an engaging way, which led our video to getting over 45 million views. And you might be impressed to know that instead of telling this talk in 5 minutes, I actually did it in 4. So you now have an extra minute to practice your 60-second story. Because if it takes longer to tell your story than it does to make a burger, then you're probably overcooking both. Thank you.
So I just thought that that was amazing. And ironically, I love burgers to the point where I had a surgery one time, and I wake up and I open my eyes, and of course my wife is sitting there, and the nurse is beside me, and the nurse is, she says, well, Elzie, is there anything that you want? And the first thing that comes out of my mouth was a burger. So I thought that was kind of ironic that that was the whole crux of her story. So again, I absolutely love that video. When she opens her mouth, her personality, her wit, her energy, you can feel it, and her humor, all of that was contained in that story. And it doesn't take long; it just has to be real. So your story isn't what happened, is what you learn from what happened, right? When I think about my story, growing up in the entrepreneurship world, I've taken tons of bumps and bruises and things that happened along the way. And I've learned so much from those things. And those things are what make me who I am. And it is what draws people to me. So what is a moment that shapes how you show up today? And what did it teach you? This is a prompt that you can add to your 60-second story. What have you learned from the experiences that you had? And what is a moment that shaped how you show up today? For me, it was staring in the eyes of that recruiter telling me that I couldn't do it. So now nobody can tell me I can't do it, right? It fuels me. And what it taught me is that I am the master of my universe. I can determine what my bed is made up of. And if I don't like it, I have the power to change it. So second part of your homework is to jot down in your story what moment shaped how you show up today and what it taught you. All right, so I told you we would talk about vibe. Now, vibe is so much more than, again, what you say. It's what people remember. I'm very intentional. So the hat that I have on is on purpose. The shirt I decided to wear is on purpose. Everything about what I do is intentional, because people remember how you make them feel. They remember your vibe. When I go to a restaurant, the first thing that I'm looking at is, are they smiling? Are they happy to be there? Do they greet me? Do they mean it? Those things matter to me. I go to a certain restaurant over a other certain restaurant just because they smile more, right? So your vibe, how you show up, how you say please and thank you, all of those little things really do matter when you think about effective communication. I don't know the exact number, but the majority of communication is nonverbal. It's only about 30% of what you say. Most of it is nonverbal. All right. So another vibe check. I want you to really think about who you are and what you stand for. Who you really are and what you stand for. So this is part 3 of your homework. Who are you and what do you stand for? In this world of AI generated content and copycat content creation, it is more important than ever to really understand who you are and what you stand for. Okay, so now I want to give you a few practical things items in terms of communication. Because I believe I'm talking to tons of entrepreneurs and business owners. And so your website, I'm not going to pull mine up if we have time after, because I want to leave some time for questions and answers, but your website is extremely important. I can tell if you're serious about what you do by looking at your website. It doesn't need to look like $1,000,000. It just needs to look and feel like you care, right? Social media. Are you posting things just to post things? Are you posting and giving your authentic, insights in giving people a sense of who you are and what you stand for? Or are you just regurgitating AI content? It's really easy to do. I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I love it for the opportunity. I hate it because there's so much junk and crap on there that it gets hard to sift through all of the noise to get through the content and the creators who really have something to say. I spend a ton of time on and thinking about client experience, putting myself in their shoes. Everything from my email signature to my autoresponder to how I respond when I connect with people on LinkedIn. All of those details, when we're thinking about effective communication, all of those things matter because, again, most of the communication happens between when you open your mouth and when you close it. That's when the real communication happens. All right, so vibe check number 2. My story is power. My voice is value. My presence builds connection. My story is power. My voice is value. My presence builds connection. Do you believe that? I venture to say that most people will shake their head. If we were sitting in Starbucks, you would say, "Yeah, Elzie, I believe that." But then you would go home and you would say, "Well, people don't really want to know about me speaking at this event, or people really they don't care that I did this amazing thing." But I can guarantee you, your story is power, your voice is value, and your presence builds connection. So speak so people feel you. Okay. And here's the framework to do that. Hook. We are in the attention economy. I don't care what it is that you do. I don't care if you're in content, if you're in marketing, if you're in sales, whatever you do, you are in the attention business. Because if you do not have their attention, it does not matter how you can help them, how you can serve them. Okay? Help. You have to solve something real. Not what you think people want, but what they actually want. And the only way to know that is to, drum roll, communicate with them, get feedback, get an understanding of what people seek after, how you can connect them to what they need and how you can serve them. Number 3, be human. Make it relatable. People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Make sure that you make it relatable. I call it P2P, people or person to person, and have and heart. Leave them with something that lingers. I am a recovered engineer, and a lot of my work for many years was ones and zeros, X's and O's. Does the light come on when it's supposed to? Does it go off when it's supposed to? I had to retrain my brain to put heart into things. It's like, how do you make people feel? How do you hook them? How do you help them? How do you make it relatable? And how do you leave them with something that lingers? So that is my framework for uh, heart-based messaging. All right, so another piece of homework for you. Fill in the blank. If you are at your target market's pain, tired of that struggle, what you can help them with. I help you, and add the transformation. So I'm going to go back a slide. So the heart-based messaging framework is hook, help, human, heart. And with this statement, this is how you effectively communicate that framework. The other thing that I like to leave people with, and I'll open it up for Q&A here in a second, is your message isn't just for one moment, it's for every single room that you step in. So again, everything from your email signature to when you're introducing yourself at a networking event, to your website, to everywhere that you show up, repeating that message. For a number of years, I'll give you an example. I was known as the mayor of Podcast Town. Now, we've since rebranded from Podcast Town to something else, but even today, when I think about introducing myself, sometimes I almost still slip up and go down the road of saying, "Hey, I'm the mayor of Podcast Town." It's quick, it's catchy, it's cool, it's all the things. And so I literally ran for office on that messaging because it was repeatable, and it allowed me to stand out in people's minds. And so I want you to have that as well. So feel free to email Andy or myself with your repeatable message, right? That you have, that you came up with for your brand. All right. So to that end, what is one phrase that you can say in every pitch, post, or conversation that reinforces who you are and what you stand for? And I would add to this, who you are, why you do what you do, and who you help and what you stand for. All right. So I see, here's the problem with virtual is I can't see you. If we were in a room together, this is the point in my talk where I would have you stand up uncomfortably and look at your neighbor, even though you really don't want to. And I would have you say these four things: I show up, I speak up, I build trust, I move people. We'll say it one more time. I'm just going to assume that you're saying it along with me. I show up, I speak up, I build trust, I move people. Very good, very good. I know that you are a smart class, and so you helped me out on that. So here's my final challenge. I want you to stop hiding. I want you to get rid of that fear. I want you to understand that your voice is powerful. I want you to understand that your message is needed. And I want you to understand that there are people out there waiting for you to show up as your best possible self so that they can get to their next level. Because when your message is aligned, your growth becomes inevitable. All right, so at this point, I will open it up for questions. I have a free, it's a newsletter that I publish every week. It's called the Journey Feed. The QR code is on the screen. If you're interested, you feel free to sign up. If not, that's okay as well. And yeah, I can open it up for questions and answers. I know that we had some questions about podcasting specifically, everyday life, storytelling and steps and stages. So I'll open it up for questions.
Yeah. First question came in from Michelle here. Michelle stated, excuse me, I like the question someone else had above about if Elzie is familiar with Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand Framework, the hero's journey, and how it fits with what he had shared today. So I guess first one, are you familiar with Donald Miller's Building a Story Brand Framework?
I am familiar, but I couldn't articulate it clearly in this setting. But if you haven't read that book, I would definitely recommend it. It's a really efficient way to walk through your customer's journey from their perspective. A lot of times we look at things like our website, etc., and it's all about us and what we do. But one of the things that he brings out is make the story about them, and you become the guide, in the story, as opposed to the hero. Your customer is the hero. So definitely approve. But again, I won't present myself as an expert on it, but it's definitely a framework that is effective for sure.
Awesome. Next question comes from Nadine. Can you give an example of the fill in the blank with the framework? I'm trying to understand which part is the hook, the heart, etc.
Wow, you guys are putting me on the spot. Okay, let's see if I can come up with one for myself. Okay, so my name is Elzie Flenard. I am the Mastery Mentor. I help um, I help entrepreneurs align profit and purpose so they can grow their business in the way that they were called to grow it. So who I help is in there, how I help them is in there, what I help them do, the transformation, align profit and purpose. And I included a little bit about myself. Well, that wasn't my best work, but that was the best I can come up with on the fly. But it's just the elements of who you are, what you do, who you help, how you help them, and the transformation that you help them achieve. And that's the basic framework. Now you can, workshop it and figure out, okay, which words might resonate with your target market more than others. And it takes time. This isn't something that happens instantly or overnight even. It's something that you'll need to get feedback on, test different things out on social media, etc. But those are the basic elements.
Awesome. We got some fire emojis from that last statement there. So I think people loving the on the spotness, Elzie. Next question from Alex here. How do you come up with the initial elevator pitch techniques and how to perfect it?
Yeah, I would say that's related to the last question. I think I like to practice a lot. And so I'll practice with my son. I'll just go through it so that it feels right and that it flows. But again, you want to hit all of those points. You want and you want to have it tailored for where you are. For example, if I am in we're local here to Wisconsin, so there's an organization called the MMAC, where there's a very large chamber of commerce that's made up of larger corporations and companies. So if I'm at an event, I'm going to introduce or present myself differently than if I'm in a meeting with other small business owners. For example, in that setting, I may not even mention that I host a podcast or that I am an author. I might just say, my name is Elzie. I'm the founder of F3 Studios, and I may say, here's how I help B2B brands transformation, right? But if I'm in a smaller setting where there are other entrepreneurs, I may include the podcast because I may want them to listen to the podcast. I may include the book, etc. So I think you have to understand where you are and who you're talking to, and that will dictate the what you communicate and how you communicate it. Hopefully that answers the question. So I have different pitch pieces that I'll put together depending on who I'm talking to.
Next question comes from Jasmine. Do you try to remember people's names in your pitch?
Jasmine, I try. I'm really bad at it. I'm really good at remembering faces. In fact, I remember faces from decades ago, but I will forget your name, Jasmine. So what I try to do is I try to repeat it, and I try to attach it to something that I might remember about the person. Sometimes it's something really funny that I can't, that I don't tell them because it may embarrass them, but I'll try to remember something about them. Maybe it was where we met, or maybe they had a red hat on, or maybe Jasmine, when we met, you had on a blue shirt. And so mentally I may I may make the note like Jasmine with the blue shirt. So that way, when we meet again, I'll remember your face and your name. So everybody's different. Some people are the opposite. They're really good at names, but they forget faces. I would say just kind of understand where you fall on that spectrum, and then create fun ways to remember that. But people love to hear their name. I know I love to hear my name. It's a pretty unique name. Didn't really appreciate it much growing up, but as I got older, you know, I enjoy it. And so people love to hear their name. So if you could work that in once or twice as you're doing your pitch, or as you're meeting a person, then that's definitely helpful.
Elzie, I want to thank you again for such a wonderful presentation that you put together. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day to join us here. We've got a couple moments left if for those any last-minute questions. Elzie, I've got a question for you, though. So here at DreamBank, we are a community that is built up of fellow fearless dreamers. And we always like to ask our speakers, what's one piece of advice that you have for someone who's actively pursuing a dream right now?
Ooh, that is a loaded question, Andy. You really saved the best for last. That's so the one piece of advice that I would have to somebody who's pursuing a dream. Just one piece?
Just one. Just one.
I would say believe your dream and follow it with action. Because a lot of times people will say that they want a thing, but they don't follow it up with massive action to achieve it. So I would say believe it and follow up with massive action.
I love it. I love it. Thanks so much for that, LZ. A couple housekeeping items before we wrap here. I know this question came up. Is this event being recorded? And it is. The recording will be shared to your email address in which you used to register for this event today. And also, there's a brief post-event survey that should be heading into your inbox shortly once this event wraps. Really helps us kind of dictate and guide the types of content that we put out here. So we'd really appreciate a few moments to fill that out. And I know LZ's got his wonderful QR code there if you'd like to follow along his journey and stay connected with him as well. Again, LZ, thank you so much for this. Thank you everyone for joining us here. With that being said, we will go ahead and cap it there, and we will see you all next time. Take care.